Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take on, let's call the theme tip for tonight, things that are banned and not banned. Things that are canceled and not canceled. It's going to be a lot of stories here, but before we get started, smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Please check out my books, including the newest one, The Pineys, Book 6, The Highwayman Piney, which is all about bloody John Bacon as the Pineys have to go up against this ghoulish figure from history. I talked about him in a Piney podcast way back when, and I'll be talking about him again when the trade paperback drops, which should be probably within 24 hours. So the ebook is $2.99. The trade paperback, in other words, the one you actually hold in your hand, that is $7.99, and Kindle Unlimited is free. Now, let's get into it, Joan. Big mouth Joan, who can't keep her little mouth shut. Florida Governor DeSantis promises action against vaccine passports. It's completely unacceptable. Canceled. And that's a good thing. Cancel that vaccine passport, DeSantis. Man, you make me want to move to Florida every time I hear you speak. Could Florida be the last free state in the union? Sure sounds that way. And if it is, it's all thanks to Ron DeSantis. Good for you, man. Good for him. I only wish my New Jersey governor, Phil Murphy, was a tenth as freedom-loving as you are. Biden administration announces push for offshore wind farms to create union jobs. Talk about a scam. This is the exact same scam Phil Murphy's trying to push on New Jersey. Will it provide jobs? Yeah, few. If you spend $1 billion on something, you're bound to get a few million in return. The question is, will it be good in the long term? And the answer is, that's irrelevant to the people pushing this, because it's their guys, it's politically viable for their side, and that's why they're doing it. We've already seen the result of going green in Texas prematurely, when Texas had massive outages because the wind farms kind of had some problems. They got hit by some bad weather, and the whole system started breaking down. Oh, but Phil Murphy wants that for New Jersey, and the Biden administration apparently would like that for all of the United States. And don't you worry, the Chinese government has their hand in our electrical grid, so what could possibly go wrong? Cops investigate Virginia teachers' Facebook group for naming parents who were against critical race theory and urging members to, quote, gather information on them. Yeah, that's not too much like the Stasi. This is the anti-racist parents of Loudoun County shared personal details of those they say had opposed moves to teach a controversial curriculum. No, critical race theory is racism. It's racism for woke idiots. And if they teach it in your school, you should do everything you can to make sure it's banned. Not just offered voluntarily or alternatively, but banned outright from your school. It teaches children to be racist. Doesn't teach them to be anti-racist. It teaches them to be racist, to evaluate everything based on race, and everything based on race under critical race theory is oppressor and oppressor, oppressive, oppressee, and oppressor. And we all know how that goes. Been talking about it forever. CRT is a cancer. Do not teach it. Do not support it. Fauci was wrong. Free states fared better than authoritarian states run by tyrannical leftists. New information shows the U.S. states with the least stringent lockdowns fared better than the authoritarian states run by tyrannical leftists. The map shows how Florida, with all its seniors, has fared better than New York and California. There you go. Green good, red bad. So you got California, Nevada, which is now full-blown socialist, New Mexico, Louisiana, incredibly corrupt state, in my view. Illinois, of course, very lefty. And then the Northeast, which I'm in, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and who else is in there? Massachusetts. So, and meanwhile, you see the green states. Of course, the Dakotas doing pretty good, or South Dakota doing pretty good. Nebraska, Utah. I mean, these are more sparsely populated states, but I wouldn't say Florida is. And Texas is doing better now that things have opened up. Oh, and Hawaii is red. Also, incredibly lefty. So, take notice. Katie Couric kills Jeopardy's rating. Show loses top spot. Look, there was going to be a drop. Katie is not the actual new host of Jeopardy. She is the transition host. Okay? Every time they do this on a TV show, the same exact thing happens. Katie didn't have the creds to just take Alec Trebek's spot. No one really does. Let's think on this. Who could have taken his spot? Perhaps Bob Barker in his heyday, although he's too old now. I think he's either dead or retired. I don't remember which, because he was a famous game show host. It would have to be someone known for hosting a game show, typically a smarter one than The Price is Right, but somebody who's either super smart or associated with game shows. Drew Carey, maybe could have done that, because he's the new host of The Price is Right, right? And he's pretty famous. He's younger. He's pretty smart. He hosted also Whose Line Is It Anyway? He's funny. But see, the Jeopardy show's not meant to be funny. It's supposed to be the smart game show. And Alex was pretty much in a field all by himself. So there's really no one left that I could think of. Yeah, who's that smart? You would really have to get someone new. Ken Jennings was going to be in the mix, I think, but I don't know if he has the charisma. It's going to be years before they build it back up again. It may never build back up, but Katie Couric was a terrible choice. She's just merely famous, not particularly smart, not particularly known for her game show hosting abilities. It's just the way it is, It's all about what the audience will accept. Waste of time and money. Turncoat Mike Pence laying groundwork for 2024 presidential run. I mean, this is the gateway pundit, but I have to agree. Vice President Pence, you don't stand a chance, man. Your whole base is pissed at you. Oh, you're gonna turn it all around, huh? You're gonna explain why you hung Trump out to dry. You didn't even try. All you had to do was just not count the votes. You didn't even have to say, well, I agree with Trump. You could say, well, I think there's an investigation that needs to be done here. And that's all you could have said. Instead, you're going to have to lie, and try to weasel your way out of it. Yeah, you'll get the never Trump vote, all 6 of those guys. So good luck with that. Good luck with you and the Lincoln Project. I hope you guys go well together. Speaking of the Lincoln Project, Democrat-backed Republican Accountability Project urges pro-Trump lawmakers to resign for opposing voter you-know-what. Probably can't say it on YouTube. The deceptively named Republican Accountability Project is targeting Representative Mo Brooks of Alabama and other lawmakers who oppose you-know-what in the 2020 presidential election. Good luck with that. When you got a guy like Bill Kristol. Does anybody remember what this guy did during the Bush years? My God, he was drumming for war, going on Fox every other day, smug as you please. Oh, well, we got this all wrapped up. You said it was a bad idea. Look how great an idea it was to go into Iraq and topple Saddam Hussein. Aren't we smart? Mission accomplished. Dumbass. Video. School board member arguing for mandatory masks nearly passes out while wearing a mask. Do we have video of this? Oh, I gotta watch this. Let's see. Let's see if this actually happens. Does she actually pass out?
Knowledge and their understanding.
Oh, she's having trouble breathing.
And they don't need to visit our school district to make recommendations.
I don't know why she's.
And they currently have.
She's definitely having a little trouble, I think.
Current level of transmission in Bonneville County.
You know, part of it is her anxiety
In
may be making
hybrid
the things,
for the
making it
elementary
worse.
school and virtual for middle schools and high schools.
Geez, she sounds like she's ready to pass
And
out.
we're not following that.
Be funny if she just
But
go.
I do think that we should follow their request.
I mean, you're already separated at the table. Why don't you just take the mask off so you can breathe?
Masking.
Jeez, she sounds like she really about to pass out. No one seems to care.
You want to pick and choose.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do want to pick and choose.
Oh my God, hysterical. I think she's hysterical. Teachers Union representative fighting for mask wearing while fighting to breathe through mask. So you want to pick and choose? Yes, I do. Yes, I do want to pick and choose. Jesus, lady, calm the hell down. Godspeed, whoever her husband is, if she has one. First dog major involved in another biting incident. Ooh, canceled doggy. Yeah, 3-year-old German Shepherd. I think this dog was specifically bought by the Biden team because he had a dog, and that dog I think is old. So they said, no, we got to get another dog in case the other one dies, because you got to have a dog. That's part of his image. See, everybody loves dogs, and then they'll love Biden, right, doggy? It's true. Everybody loves dogs. I saw a dog the other day, and I wasn't really down in the dumps. It was kind of like, eh. And then I just saw the dog, and I just started smiling. He was so happy. He was just walking around. He didn't know where he was, but he was just so happy to be there. It was great. Doggies are so much fun, right, doggy? As Democrats claim voter ID is racist, new poll shows 70% of black people support it. Gateway pundit. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. Because it's common sense. What's the big deal? Showing your driver's license to make sure you are who you say you are. I mean, if you get pulled over by the cops, you have to show your driver's license. You have to show your driver's license and a bunch of stuff. You have to make certain large bank deposits. If you have to, it's all kinds of things. You can't just check it for 2 seconds. What are the people at the voting facility doing? Nothing. They're just sitting there. They look up your name and that's it. For a couple extra seconds, they can check the number on your driver's license. And yeah, there are people who can't drive, so they show something else. I mean, to get their driver's license, you have to bring, I think you have to bring 2 forms of ID. You could show your social security card. You could even just bring mail from your house, like a bill or a credit card or something like that. I mean, something. Put a bar. Put a low bar, but put a bar. I mean, how many people, seriously, are going to be turned away over that? And there would be easy workarounds, right? There'd be easy workarounds. So you can tell people what to do. It's not a big deal. If you're going to wear a freaking mask, and that's not a big deal, I don't think it's a big deal to show your driver's license. Now, sheet music condemned as slap at students of color. Yeah, because it's black and white. Profs charged too much focus on the white European music from the slave period. That's not what it was about. Like, it wasn't like they were, I got another song about slaves. Beethoven, I've got another song about slaves. Oh, great, write it up. That's not what it was about. There are eras of music and entertainment and culture, and they just sort of organically, spontaneously erupt for a while, and then they die out. Classical music had its heyday. Yeah, there was slave trade. So what? There was slave trade for thousands and thousands of years. I mean, no one supports it anymore, other than China. But the rest of you in the West really need to get over it, because we banned the slaves. See, we banned the slave trade. We ended slavery here, but they haven't ended it in China. They restarted it in Libya. You woke morons who don't know anything about history or even recent history. Don't get me started. New York must offer vaccine to inmates immediately Judge rules. The number of beer virus cases in state prisons and jails continues to increase. Well, I think after, elderly and people with comorbidities, I would say yes. You need to vaccinate the prisoners because they're in close proximity to each other. And so they're way more likely to get it. Way more likely. They only take one inmate and the whole place will be rife with the beer virus. And you don't want that. So, yeah, kind of. Oh my God, am I agreeing with something from ABC News? I'm sure there's a bunch of woke crap in here that I didn't read. But that's my assessment. The Defense Department reassigns diversity and inclusion officer over Trump-Hitler comparison. Well, here's another good canceling. How do you like us now, dummy? Look, at least they're being more consistent. I'm glad they dumped this guy. He shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff if he wants to be in the big leagues. And if you're going to cancel other people for stuff, then you got to cancel them all. You got to cancel everybody. Either cancel no one or cancel everybody, according to some ridiculous metric on Twitter, I suppose. But I think you're idiots for canceling them. I wouldn't cancel anybody based on their stupid tweets. But if you're going to cancel other people for other political views, then I think this one qualifies based on the Twitter idiots, the Twidiots. YouTube to remove dislike feature as Biden White House content continues to see likes and massively trail dislikes. I don't understand. He's the most popular president that ever lived. That can't be right. Someone must be gaming the system. Because he's so popular. I mean, he's more popular than President Obama. He got the most votes in history. Left-leaning Democrats. Why is he getting so many downvotes on YouTube? Why? Why is he getting so many downvotes? Can you tell me why, you woke tards? You can't. You can't tell me. You can't tell me. NYPD hunts for assailant seen in video brutally beating Asian woman on way to church. Wow. Yeah, this was horrific. I watched this video. I'm not going to play it. But from this angle, you see on the screen there, it's from a hotel security cam, I think, because that looks like a hotel. It looks like a little hotel luggage rack. And what you see is outside the door, the woman's walking along, and a guy just, bam, hits her. Knocks her to the ground. And she's 65. That's pretty old. She's small of stature, as a lot of Asian people are, and she's a woman. And he's a pretty big guy, and he just wails on her. And these two guys inside the hotel, they don't do anything. In fact, one guy goes over and shuts the door. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. At the very least, you should have ran to the doorway and said, "Hey, get off of her." Something to distract him. Even if he came after you, well, better you than some woman. The people who let this happen, the so-called men who let this happen, I question your manhood. I do, because only a rhymes with wussy would stand there while an old woman gets beaten by some idiot. It's pretty infuriating. I don't want to play it, but if you want to see it, it's on Fox or somewhere on Twitter. What happened to the media's kids in cages outrage? Well, it's Biden's in office now. We don't want to do that. That'll hurt Biden. Da. Is it too much to ask for reporters and journalists to look in the mirror? Yes, because they're horrible people now. They've driven out all the people who were any good at their jobs. You know why? Because those people are like me. They're contrarian. They're a pain in the butt. And there's no tolerance for that anymore. Not in the corporate world. No. There used to be. There used to be sort of a sense of, well, we'll tolerate you up to a point. Right? They didn't tolerate everybody. There was always some people who really would indulge themselves. But you got to be tolerant of some people who are just contrarian or whatever. And they're just not anymore. They're just not. As the money squeeze continues in media and other industries, they'll be less and less tolerant. They're too busy trying to make up for the money. But ironically, in media and in entertainment, these are the people who make the wheels go. Okay, it's usually the incredibly contrarian people. You know, I read the Saturday Night Live book. I don't know if you ever read that, The Origins of Saturday Night Live. John Belushi was just a maniac. He was an absolute maniac and a total pain in the neck. He didn't want to be on the show. He thought being on television was, at first, he thought being on television wasn't a real actor thing. He wanted to be like on Broadway and stuff. He was in like community theater type stuff. And then they basically had to drag him to the audition. And this was before Saturday Night Live was big, of course, but still, it was television, it was money. And he became the biggest thing, and he was just, drinking and doing drugs all the time. And, there's a famous story where they did Mardi Gras. They did a show in Louisiana during Mardi Gras, and, Belushi didn't get up on time because he was so drunk or hungover or whatever, and then he had to ride on top of a police car or something to get to the show, or it was some crazy story like that. But he was the best. He was the absolute best on that show. Him and Aykroyd was a wild man too. Now Aykroyd settled down eventually and changed his ways, and unfortunately Belushi went right over the edge. But you in media, you kind of got to tolerate some of these whack jobs because that's what makes the wheels turn. That's what's interesting. You can't make interesting media without these people, and that includes news. There are guys, if you look at the personalities of the true, journalists, these guys are interesting guys. They're smart guys, and they know how to dig. And they'll infuriate you a little bit, especially if you're in business or whatever, but you got to tolerate them if you want to have, credible news. If you just want to play the game like Joe Biden does and pretend to be concerned and pretend to know things and pretend like you're not falling to pieces and pretend like you don't have 2 stacks from China, yeah, you could be a big phony, and with all your money you'd probably do okay for a while, but it eventually catches up to you. So it doesn't surprise me at all that Kids in Cages has dropped off the radar because none of the mainstream media guys have any credibility whatsoever with me. I don't watch it. I don't watch news anymore. I read the internet. I watch news on the internet. Television? Who watches television anymore? It's a joke. Man shot dead in Philly while filming movie to end gun violence. Not good. Not good. A 55-year-old man was shot dead Monday night in Philly while filming as part of a movie focused on ending gun violence. It sucks. It sucks. He was inside a house in North Philly near the 1900 block of Page Street. Not a great area. Talking to individuals whose family members were victims of gun violence. He went outside around 8 p.m. to get extra equipment and was shot multiple times. Jeez. The man took bullets to the head, chest, stomach, and legs. Whew. Philly Voice reports that a bag full of production equipment and 2 cell phones were found near the sidewalk where the man collapsed after being shot. Why'd they even shoot him? It marked the 117th fatality of 2021 in Philadelphia. Damn. Sucks. It sucks. I didn't mean to laugh in the beginning, but yeah, it's the headline. It's ironic. But it's sad. I don't go to Philly anymore. I used to go to Philly all the time. Now, no way. I tell people, don't go to Philly. Don't go to Philly. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's falling to pieces, and it's going to get worse. And Biden's not doing anything to help it. He's making the situation worse. He's trying to take people's guns. He's only going to empower the police further. They don't need more power. That is the last thing they need. What they need is a mandate that makes sense. What they need is a focus on violence and not to waste their time with prostitution or drugs. They need to focus on violence almost exclusively until that's tamped down. And then, you know, violence against people, any kind of violence is bad. Any kind of violence, whether it's women or children or anyone. After you get the violence under control, then you got to get control of property crimes, that kind of thing. This is the way it was before the drug prohibition. Before the drug prohibition and before the booze prohibition, criminals just didn't have that much money. They couldn't make that much money because what could they do? They could rob people. It's tough to make money robbing people because you have to rob the right person, right? And people with a lot of money are going to have a lot of security, and people with no money have no security. They're easier to rob, but they don't have anything. So if you allow people to arm up and protect themselves, all the violence starts to go down because those criminals are criminals of opportunity. They don't have 9 to 5, okay, it's 9 o'clock, time to get up and go rob people. No. They drive around, they're getting high, they got a gun in their pocket from whatever, and they see some dude carrying a bunch of Amazon boxes walking along the street, and they look around, they notice no one's around, and then they go over and rob them because that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity. They see a guy coming out of a jewelry store and he's having trouble locking the door. And they just happen to be behind there drinking a soda or eating a sandwich, and they realize, wait a minute, that guy's carrying a bunch of jewelry. Let's go get him. Victims of opportunity. That's what criminals go for. You could take all the guns away in the world. It doesn't matter. Criminals will still have them. They're criminals. They don't obey the law. They don't say, oh, there's a gun turn in? Oh, guess I'm done. Guess I'm done with crime. No, it's not the way to get them. The way to get them is to make it almost impossible to make money committing crime. And, you know, digital currency isn't going to do it. I'll tell you right now, because they will put a gun to your head and drag you to the nearest ATM and force you to get out your money. And if they can't do it at the machine, they'll hold your family hostage and say, go do it. So you want to make it safe. You make sure everybody's armed. And not everybody will carry a gun. See, that's the other perception. Oh, everybody's going to carry a gun and they'll be shootouts every day. No. What it'll mean is the criminals won't know an opportunity. They won't know you don't have a gun. So it makes the odds of them robbing you go way down because they have to evaluate you. Does this guy have a gun? I don't know. He might be strapped. It's harder to tell that. If you're wearing a big bulky jacket, it's wintertime, you got boxes under your arm. If they can't figure out what's in the boxes and they can't figure out whether or not you're armed, they're just gonna let you pass by. It's an evaluation process that they do. It's about reward versus risk. And even if they're high as a kite, it's just certain obvious people. I mean, typically I look a mess when I go out. I just don't care. So, any of these guys sizing me up are gonna go, well, that guy doesn't have any money. He doesn't have any money. There's holes in his jacket. He hasn't combed his hair. He's got a 3-day beard. This guy doesn't even have a place to live. That's where you want to look if you're walking around Philadelphia. No one's going to bother you. You also want to look a little pissed off, and then they go, he'll put up a fight. But, people think they live in a magic bubble that should protect them 24/7. And the moment that's broken, it's like, oh, police, why aren't the police helping me? The police failed me, defund them. It's not the way it works. But yeah, it's a shame. I wonder how far his movie was along. I wonder if someone will finish it for him. Kamala sued for banning annual prayer event at Capitol. Another thing that's been canceled. Vigil planned for the express purpose of beseeching God's healing from divisiveness. Okay, I guess we're getting rid of religion now. Doesn't surprise me that Democrats want to seize upon this. It's not their constituents that are religious. So sure, why not? I think it's stupid. They're dumb. It's a poor strategy because see if they embrace that, then they could win over some of the constituency on the right. Instead, they just want to stomp them out forever. Well, even I feel bad the prayer's not happening, and I'm not religious. Even I find myself siding more and more with religious people against these, who I consider monsters in the Democratic Party. They're monsters. They've gotten completely out of control, and they need to go out of office. Psaki grilled on teachers giving in-person instruction to migrant kids before own students. White House press secretary defends arrangement, says context is important. So get this. White House press secretary Jen Psaki on Tuesday was grilled about a San Diego public school teacher's volunteering to teach migrant school children in person before returning to the classroom to teach students in their own district. This is what I hate about these teachers. They are virtuous to a fault. And again, this is mommy and the dark side of nurturing. These people are so woke. They're willing to go to the migrant facility to teach migrant children who may or may not even understand English, who may or may not have any kind of education. They may have a good education. You don't know. You don't know. Their mother may be teaching them to read. They may be advanced. You know, what are you going to teach them in a few days? And it's only going to be a few days. We all know this. Oh, you're so wonderful. It's all about being woke and wonderful. It's all about getting credit. These teachers don't care about these migrant children, in my opinion. What they care about is going on Instagram and saying, look at me. Here's Pedro. I just taught him how to add. Aren't I wonderful? Meanwhile, their own students are running wild. Their own students don't know any respect or discipline. They're just nurtured to death. These mostly women, they're mostly women teachers, they baby these students. And I'm not some kind of hard-ass guy who wants to see kids beaten into submission. But my God, these kids need some lines drawn. Okay? They can't be babied like this. This is the true essence of helicopter parenting, of why these kids come out of high school and go into college and feel so entitled, why the colleges have turned into snowflake factories for, again, mostly women to go out and go teach like this. This is why they're more concerned about critical race theory than basic skills that people need in life. Things like history and math and science. Oh, but these people know not to say certain things around certain groups of people because of their skin color. Whoop-de-doo! It's really going to get you a job, and it might actually get you a job these days. Not that you'll actually be able to do it, but you'll say the right things at the interview. So the interviewer will pat you on the head, and you'll say, thank you, Mommy, and I'll go do my job now and be a good woke activist. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. All these teachers should be fired, but they won't be because they're in the powerful teachers union, which runs the show, which, again, is another thing that should be eliminated. Any union full of government workers needs to go. It's a conflict of interest, and they're just too powerful. They're fighting their own government. They're changing the policy, and all that's going to do is change the policy to help their people do less work and get more money. That's it. It's the only thing the union does. Less work, more money. Less work, more money. It's the only two things they know. There's a great skit on the Babylon Bee where the characters are union teachers, and they just keep asking for dumber and more crazier things because they don't want to go back to work, and they're all getting paid. And in the end, they get it all, and they still keep asking for more. Finally, brace yourself. Biden is set to announce $3 trillion in tax hikes tomorrow. If this doesn't convince you that Biden is the worst, the absolute worst we've seen in other than Bush, I don't know what will. We all knew this was coming. $3 trillion in tax hikes. President will target businesses who will fire people. Married couples, great. I guess. I'm not married anymore, so fortunately it doesn't impact me. High earners on more than 400K and estates to fund climate-friendly infrastructure package. Oh boy, I cannot wait. I cannot wait till a wind farm goes up in New Jersey and a big storm comes and freezes up all the blades, and then they have to send helicopters full of jet fuel up there and, make the harbor carbon footprint go through the ceiling. Biden is set to announce his infrastructure plan Wednesday in Pittsburgh. Total price tag has been pegged between 3 and 4 trillion. Oh, so probably more like 6 trillion. Administration is working on hikes that could make up the 3 trillion of the package. My God, you're a monster. You're an absolute monster, Biden. I bet you don't pay a dime in taxes either. Biden says families earning less than $400,000 won't get a tax hit. Goodbye, millionaires. Goodbye. I wonder what countries you will move to. They all moved out of France, so I assume probably like Singapore and I don't know, Canada. I don't know what the taxes are high in Canada though. So who knows? Who knows? Tax havens, offshore, Bermuda. I'm sure you got ways around it. Maybe you can stay. But he is set to target businesses, married couples, and estates. Let me translate that for you. When he means businesses, he means small businesses. He means a local grocery store, not the big chains. Oh, those guys will find a way around it, or they'll sue and they'll rewrite the law on their behalf. That'll be like mid-level, smaller businesses. And they'll go right out of business. Married couples, I guess Biden hates marriages. I guess that's part of the whole lefty thing to destroy marriage. So now people won't get married. Oh, we'll have to pay more taxes, hon. Let's wait a few years. And estates. Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. So, when you inherit money, then you got to pay taxes on, land and items that, older people spent their whole lives working for. You're going to have to pay taxes on them again. White House has backtracked on plans to tax drivers by the mile. Oh, thank God, because maybe I'll have to drive the F out of this country. Individuals filing jointly could still get a hit, one tax expert says. We're all going to get hit because the millionaires won't pay this. The billionaires definitely won't pay it. So where's the money going to come from? Oh, let's have a gas tax. Oh, yeah. You people driving your cars too much. That's my new Biden. He's turned into Jimmy Stewart. Yeah, you're driving your cars too much. Move to take on stepped up basis for capital gains on investments. I finally bought stock again, just a little bit, in some Bitcoin because I wanted to get in on it. I've been trying to get my S together ever since the GameStop thing. I wanted to get in on it, but I couldn't get my account approved. It was a long story. Long story short, I'm finally in and the market's going to hell. So you can thank me for that. That's my luck. Me and money, we've never gotten along. But Biden is a monster. He's an absolute monster. And I guarantee you he won't pay a dime. He won't pay a damn dime. People like him never pay. He's happy to crush the little people. When he's up there talking about how much he wants to save you and your families, and he's so wonderful and tuned in to you haven't been to your weddings or funerals, and he's full of it. He is full of it. His only skill is he's a fairly decent actor. Unfortunately, these guys usually are. Over the years, they just get good at it. Biden should not be president for a whole host of reasons. Number one, when he ran in the past, he was outed as a plagiarist. How did this guy get in? I think we all know the story. Well, I wish I had better news, but, we can still dream of a Ron DeSantis eventually becoming president. Stay strong, Ron. We need you. We need you, Ron. Biden's not going to live forever. God forbid they develop that technology. All right. I'm calling it a night. Joan and I will see you tomorrow.